think I'd try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me up tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time, I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. I think I'll do it on my way. I'm gonna show you what I'm going through, get you out of your comfort zone, 'cause I need more of the truth right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me up tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time, I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around.
Thanks for tuning in to Geeksvana's Drone News Live. Get involved live with your comments and opinions. Your views count.
The views, information or opinions expressed during Geeksvana Live Special Edition Backers Unite are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Geeksvana. This live stream is intended for information purposes only and does not constitute professional advice or services. In short, this is an opinion piece, and the opinions of the presenter, author, and those expressed in the comments section should only be seen as that, opinion. Extreme Toys Limited are not, thankfully, associated with this live stream or Geeksvana in any form. Viewers should be aware that Extreme Toys Limited do not endorse any message within this broadcast. Please note, every care was taken prior to broadcast to provide Extreme Toys Limited the right of reply and or appearance either live or pre-recorded. The final offer was set this morning. To date, the only reply is a short statement which will be read later in the show. Hey everybody, microphone is on. I had to check. Really great to welcome you all to Geeksvana Live, our special edition of the stream Backers Unite. Thank you so much for everybody that's coming in and joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Rob Green, for your £10 super chat. Appreciate all your hard work, Sean. Thank you. Obviously, I enjoy this work. From the point of view of running the channel and everything, and the Microdrone 4.0 story is one that I am not going to be dropping anytime soon. And Mike Drennan, thank you, even before the live stream had started, $10 because you'd missed the past few live streams. I have been streaming a lot recently, actually, Mike, so I don't actually blame you. Apologies for the big disclaimer there. People who are new here, we don't usually start all of our live streams with a disclaimer, but obviously in the current legal climate between ourselves and Extreme Fliers and everything else, we just thought it was prudent, and so did my legal representative as well. Okay, tonight we've got an awful lot coming up for you. The idea behind this evening is to very quickly review where we are and where we've been, to give the backers some voices. We have some fantastic videos coming up from backers expressing their opinions. One of the key ideas behind that for me is to be able to put those on the record somewhere where Vernon can't shout them down, remove them, or put some nonsense in reply to, frankly. Now, this is an opinion piece. We will remain as objective as possible, but we are going to call, a spade this evening as well. So we are here to assist the backers where we can. Just to give you a very quick idea of the actual run order. This looks like a lot of things, but this won't go on for hours, I promise. A lot of these things will actually pop by very quickly. Firstly, we're going to open with a very short editorial opinion, something I very quickly want to get off my chest. Then we're going to start off with the voice of the backer part 1, which is a fantastic video sent across to us by Joe. Thank you for that. A brief review of the situation, looking at where we are, some of the key points that I want to point out along the journey, as far as moving forward to a concept that I would like to put forward to be able to gain this situation a bit more notice out there, frankly. We're then going to move on to a very short and not hugely exciting statement from Extreme Toys Limited, which was received this morning. We're going to look at another campaign which was stopped by Indiegogo. Actually, they put the brakes on it themselves, and introduced Daniel Ibbotson to you from Kickscammers. But all that will come. That name will come up a couple of times as we're floating through. I also then want to look at IGG from the point of view of project stages, campaign owners' guidance and rules, and then I'm going to present to you a concept for progress. That I would like to put forward from the point of view of being able to get some kind of progress, get some kind of resolution here for the backers, and get a little bit more media spotlight on it, frankly. Following that, we'll have a Q&A where you'll be able to ask me anything you want to ask about the investigation that we've been carrying out, and I will be as open and honest as I can about anything that I know. Again, we've already played the disclaimer, so I can talk a little bit more openly than perhaps I have been able to in the past. And then we've got some other voices of the backers, part 2 at the end to round the show up. Because again, I want this to be focused on the backers and not much else, frankly. So first of all, I will just start off with my little editorial piece, if you don't mind. So firstly, I kind of want to make an apology to the backers of the Microdrone 4.0 campaign. During my work looking into the campaign, and both the company behind it, Extreme Toys Limited, and the directors, Vernon Kerswell and Ethan Zhou-Kerswell, I've allowed myself to be sucked into what I feel is a little bit of misdirection. For a while, I've been very confused as to why Vernon Kerswell would continually make public comments about me and others, which are both false and misleading. They didn't bother me personally, but I did take steps to have several of them removed through legal threats and action. That obviously takes a lot of time. Recently, he has again taken to the IGG comments page, Facebook and Twitter to start attacking myself and other people with all sorts of frankly silly accusations. We're all used to seeing these type of comments. I've actually started calling them the "it's Ash's fault" comments. However, over recent days, it's become apparent to me that this is a tactic which Vernon seems to use regularly. By making an argument personal, he takes the debate away from the answers which are needed and onto frankly silly debates about who said what and when. Today this stops. I'm no longer going to be publicly commenting on anything Vernon says about me on my channel Geeksvana. I don't care what his opinion is. Instead, I will refocus my efforts away from the poisonous nature of the individual spats and back to getting answers for the backers. The over 10,000 comments placed on the Indiegogo comments page are a public and open resource for anyone who wishes to trawl through the empty promises, harassing language and false statements made many times by Vernon himself. By the end of this live stream, you will, I hope, agree that my focus is clearly and absolutely back on how we get this mess of a situation resolved to some form of degree. Now, you've all been very patiently waiting for our main investigation video to be released. As per my previous updates on this, we're still unable to release it at the moment. This reason remains that other formal investigations are taking place, that the release of the video could harm. That is a fact placed on record right now. It will hopefully be available shortly, but I don't want to make a false promise tonight that I can't stick to, frankly. So yeah, I mean, it is something which I think has been used fairly. I don't want to use the word clever, but it's something that I feel that Vernon is very adept at deflecting things as personal attacks and then making personal attacks. So we almost spend more time fighting with him rather than saying, actually, where's this drone? Where are the refunds, etc. Now, I want to start off with a video from Joe Edwards, Joey, which I know he's in the chat this evening. Thank you so much for sending this through to me. This is a few minutes long, but I feel very strongly it's a good one to have on record out there to the general public and to any other media that I hope I'm now then going to be able to get to come along and watch this, from the point of view that I feel like it expresses a lot of how the backers feel. So let's take a look.
So I first found out about this project at the photography show in the NEC in March 2019. When I was there, I saw Vernon and his booth, and all looked very busy. He had a micro drone 3.0 that he seemed to be showing off to people, and there was a video showing everything that 4.0 could do. Lots of people were asking questions about what this could and couldn't do, and basically Vernon was saying it could do video, it could do photos, it was tried and tested. Look at the video here, this is made, it's ready to go into production. All we need is the money for production. It will be in your hands by June. So I had 2 holidays coming up, and I really wanted to capture some HD video as well as some 12 megapixel photos. Obviously on this big screen behind him he had all the specs up and it said 12 megapixel photos. Fantastic. So I went home a few days later, went back on the Indiegogo page, again watched through the same video, really liked what I saw, couldn't believe it was going to be in my hands in a couple of months' time, and submitted my money. Now obviously since then I've learnt that that was actually more of a wish list that Vernon had created rather than an actual specs. Obviously having that video behind him saying 12 megapixel camera wasn't a guarantee that it would have a 12 megapixel camera. So that definitely felt like false advertising to me, and I could maybe get around that if it wasn't for the fact that 10 months later in January 2020, this year, he was still using that same video at CES behind him. Now he's tried to shift the blame on someone else, but obviously as the CEO it's his responsibility to make sure that that video is updated. If you know you're going to CES, one of the biggest technology trade shows in the world, why not have your video up to date? What's to stop other people there walking past his booth like I did, asking questions? Does it take photos? Maybe even not even bothering to ask questions. They just look at the video. Yeah, look, it does 12 megapixel photos. Go home, they see the same video on the page, submit. My other problem with Vernon and this campaign is obviously locking refunds when they did. This is a campaign built around certain specifications and a deadline. Now, when you're going to change those 2 main aspects of the campaign, you should obviously keep the refund window open because it's no longer the same project that people backed. But to Vernon, that doesn't matter. He didn't even bother to consult any of the backers about the changes he was making. He included them in updates after he'd made them, but he didn't ask us, do we want to make these changes? Basically, I didn't give my money to Vernon to go and spend a year on extra wages for himself, tooling and designing this whole different drone. I gave him the money to make what he had then for me in June. And so did all the other backers. And even if it did have structural issues, then that's his problem, it's not ours. He said in his own words, this has been thoroughly tested. And yeah, even if it did have structural issues, people would have had problems with it, but at least by now I would have captured 2 holidays out of it and got some use out of it before it became obsolete. Vernon's also spent an entire year completely ignoring genuine questions on the Indiegogo page, and he's obligated to answer these questions. It's in the terms and conditions. I don't know how he gets away with just avoiding them. He's meant to be able to tell us where the money is being spent. He won't tell us anything about the extended range controller, probably because it doesn't even extend the range anymore. He won't share any new footage with us. He promised to do bi-weekly updates, which apparently takes 6 weeks to create, and even then, when he kicks them out, they don't actually tell us anything, except they're busy, they're working on things are looking great, stay tuned for the next update. And then he's also out there on social media. For example, I found a comment from September where he told someone the drone was going to be in production in October. Yet here we are 8 months later, and he's still apparently trying to glue stuff together. How can you tell someone in September that the drone is ready and it's going in production now, and still not have anything to show 8 months later. And also the whole selling point of this drone is a drone that can shoot HD, buttery smooth, cinematic video. Yet, in a whole year, what have we seen of that? We've had 15 seconds of something that looked like a 90s webcam jittering around in the sky. We then got a video of the drone wobbling around down a hallway. Admittedly, the video quality did look better, but if Vernon really wants me to believe that that's the same sensor that the previous 15 seconds was shot on outdoors, in Vernon's own words, all they did was colour correct it and fix the propeller jello. Now, I work with video, that's my full-time job, I work with video. There is no way I could fix the footage from that first video to make it look as good as it did in the second video with just some colour grading. That has to be a different sensor. And Vernon could easily prove me wrong here. He could release the raw footage from that first flight that he showed us in the update in February and show that that was the exact same sensor as the one going down the corridor. But he won't do that. So in a whole year, for this video-based product, all we've got is 15 terrible seconds and 15 almost terrible seconds. And then we finally got the video of it flying outside, thanks to Geeksvana. No thanks to Vernon. Vernon wanted to block that clip. And again, it's just sort of flailing around. The gimbal obviously isn't doing its job, and Vernon wants to go and fix that with superglue now. He's also been caught recently telling people that there's only 10 angry backers out there. Everyone else really loves this drone, everyone's sending him messages of support. Yet he also believes that if he gives those 10 people refunds, everyone will want a refund. So all these people who are loving and praising his product will suddenly leave because 10 angry people have left. Now, I'm having a really hard time believing that there's a majority out there who want this. I mean, again, he could prove me wrong. He could release an online poll. He could release it to all backers saying, the specs have changed. This is what we're going to give you now. Are you still impressed with this drone? And if more than 50% say yes, then fair enough, a majority want it. But he won't do this because he's egotistical. He seems to think that he's like the next Steve Jobs, and he's just creating this crappy little obsolete toy. Once you add on the controller and the batteries, the price isn't much less than the Mavic Mini. So I'm having a really hard time believing that people wouldn't rather have a refund and put that towards a Mavic Mini. They'd get 50% more video resolution and way higher quality video. They'd get 275% more flight time. They'd get the 12 megapixel photos that a lot of us actually signed up for this one for. The gimbal would be better stabilized. They'd get way better support from DJI. And he should be able to do this. I mean, all that money there, or at least most of it, should still be there for refunding. We only gave him the money to produce what he had. We didn't give him the money to pay his staff for a year, to design a new product. We didn't give him money to go and design new tooling and things like that. In his own words, production hasn't started yet. And that's what we funded. So therefore, where's all the money gone, Vernon? And you should be able to give us a breakdown of the books. It says in the Indiegogo terms that you should be able to answer any backer questions and submit this kind of information to us. Why aren't you doing that? It just seems really, really dodgy to me on top of all this other stuff I've just listed. To me personally, this drone's worth more in my hands now, so I can completely obliterate it in a review, and I can send it to people like Sean and Ash, and they can do reviews of it and get it out to way more people than I can. I think we need to start spreading more information on social media about how Vernon has approached this campaign and his avoidance tactics and his lies and all the deceit involved in this campaign. And I think we need to make sure that Microdrone 5 doesn't happen. Because going back and reading all the Microdrone 3 comments, it shows that he has already done this once. All those comments are identical to the kind of things that people are complaining about on the Microdrone 4 page. And if we let him complete this project and don't put these kind of reviews up, then he's just going to do it again. And before he starts crying and moaning, saying, no, this will still be a great product, you haven't tried it yet, we already know it's going to be a pointless product. It's a standard HD drone with footage that just about passes as that, with a gimbal that, as far as we know, it doesn't look like it works. We haven't seen any footage of it actually working in the whole year it's been in production. That takes 5 megapixel photos and has a total flight time of 8 minutes in 2020. Those specs are just completely obsolete. It's almost laughable. If it had shipped in June 2019 with the original specs that were on that sheet, so 12-minute flight time, 12 megapixel camera, full HD video with cinematic footage that looked buttery smooth, like in the promo video, that would have been a cool gadget. But what he's releasing now, a year later, is just pointless, and I genuinely can't see any drone enthusiasts who would have any interest in this thing. So yeah, overall it looks like Vernon has no idea what he's doing. He's lied to people, he's made broken promise after broken promise. The whole thing is just a scam, and it just seems like he's doing everything he can just to hold on to the money and release whatever he can just to say he's done it. So when you have people on the page saying that they can't feed their families because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus, and they're begging for any money they can get out of him, some people they would just be happy with 50 or 60% of what they put into this just so they can have some form of income. And Vernon has 87,000 set aside specifically for that, and he won't let a penny of it go. That just makes him look like a vile, disgusting human being. And I think that sums him up. So yeah, that's my view on the subject. It just feels like a scam and lies by a horrible, vile person. And there's no other way I can look at it because he's doing nothing to show me otherwise.
Now, thank you so much, Joe Edwards, for sending that, Joey, for sending that through. He sent me the email and said, here's my video, it's way too long, I could get it down to this, and he understood that I would probably want to chop it up. But frankly, once I started to watch it, I thought actually the points he put across were so well put across. There is nothing in there that I feel that Vernon could take exception to. He even was careful about his wording, that he had misunderstood but felt misled. I think it's excellent, Joe. I'm looking at ways to get that out to the masses as a video by itself. It will certainly be appearing in the next few days with Joe's permission as a video on Geeksvana, and I'm hoping to get some other larger channels to take that up as well. But I almost feel like that video should become the voice of the backers, frankly. It is absolutely fantastic, and thank you very much. And we have some more coming later. Later on in the show. So, as I said, I want to very quickly run through the situation as has been. Now, I do not want to bore the backers to death with what's already happened. You already know this, of course. What I want to do is just run through a few things which I feel are important to the suggestion that I'm going to make slightly later on. Yeah, so I will run through that. Now, we all know, of course, the original timeline which was put out by Extreme Fliers. We've seen this obviously many times. It still exists on the Indiegogo page, and of course we have the 2019 shipping to backers statements made here with retail distribution in 2019 October, and these dates really remind me of just how long it has been. This isn't something which has taken 3 or 4 months longer, and there's been some kind of technical hitch, or even the COVID issue, if that had delayed things. But we had lots and lots of MD4 boxes lined up, photographed, etc., ready to be shipped, or anything else like that. And of course we have the issues with the fact that this drone pictured here has very, very little to do with the drone that everybody is going to end up getting. We know the changes here. The 12 megapixel Sony sensor, which has been promised in the campaign videos, as Joe put so well, all the way up to the 2020 CES, which really is just ridiculous. And again, I've been sent many pieces of information from some fantastic backers. Thank you everybody that has reached out and helped me so much with this story all the way along. We wouldn't have had quite the penetration we've had even so far. We're hoping to have a lot more soon, but we wouldn't have even had the kind of media presentation we've had so far without the help of people like you, and of course Ash Har from Droning On, which, by the way, you'll see Droning On live in the chat there as one of our moderators. That's actually one of Ash's that's Ash's new channel. Which is a really fun place to be. Actually, it's a watered down, not watered down, it's kind of raw version of Droning On. So you get to see things on there a lot quicker than you would on the Droning On. So let's say next week's video showing how good the Mavic Air 2 is. Droning On live this week will have lots of very cool clips showing how those videos happened, etc. Ash, if you could put a link in the description to your channel, I'd really appreciate that. He's actually also having a giveaway for a drone at the moment, which might actually be a way of getting hold of one. quite frankly. Okay, so, and again here, as you can see, this was sent by a backer with the March 26th advert guaranteeing June delivery, not estimating, not we hope to, not soon, that type of thing. It was a guarantee. And again, although the end of June then switches to saying that they gave an estimated date of June, which they're not far off. But again, for all those people that have seen that have seen the guarantee thing, it is a real thing. And you have to go back to March 2019 again, with lots of promises here of June 2019 delivery, last chance to order, because of course, as you can see there at the top of this Facebook advert, manufacturing has begun. And as I say, I'm not just trying to drag up what's already happened here. I know people have gone through an awful lot of stress in this situation, and I certainly don't want that to happen. But all of this is leading to a final point, as it were. One success that some of the backers have started to have is with, of course, the chargeback. I noticed somebody else on the group letting everybody else know that he had gained one this week. This is something which some people have had really limited success with, but I know of a decent group of people that have had this, because remember, Indiegogo hold back 5% of the total amount from the campaign owner to deal with things like refunds or chargebacks or fraud. If you ask Vernon Kerswell, his official response is that it's only to do with fraud. But, there we go. Else Meghead, here's a fiver, Sean. Coincidentally, the street value of the MD4 if it's ever produced. That's probably a generous one there. Now, the route just before Geeksvana and myself actually came into this was via, of course, Droning On's fantastic video on the Microdrone 4.0. Of course, Ash has so much experience in this field in exposing the issues with crowdfunding campaigns, particularly in the drone market. And this again became a point, as I was saying in my editorial summary at the beginning, or editorial opening, that Vernon tries to divert people into arguments, into petty spats. And one thing that I really respect Ash for is everything that Vernon has said. He has answered with more questions about the drone, more questions about why aren't you spending your time working on the drone, etc. We then, of course, had the BBC News article by the excellent Rory Kellen-Jones, who I believe is actually a subscriber to Geeksvana, although he might unsubscribe now. I've told everybody that. He does have a public list of subscribers, though. And he made a very balanced article where he did state that, of course, backers have some form of risk, but he did point out some very, very good points. It was another strange one that Vernon almost tried to spin to be some kind of positive. And then, of course, you have what are so far the 4 videos tonight, making the 5th that we have run on Vernon, which has led to some pretty changing opinions. It went from Vernon telling us that he likes my channel, it's very fair and it isn't biased. This was after interviews were published. It was a good chance to talk about the current situation, plans for delivery, etc., going all the way through to saying that they've blocked me. Which, interestingly, the blocking actually happened after the banned footage video was aired. Now, all of this is fine. I'm a channel creator. Ash is a channel creator. We deal with people who talk about this type of thing on more frequently than perhaps sometimes we'd like to admit. However, one thing which started to really bother me and started to has really got under my skin is the way that Vernon has been dealing with the backers. And bear in mind, you have to be a backer to be able to comment on these pages, so they're all verified people. And this particular commenter, who was letting him know that he had been in line in food banks and actually turned away, and he was again repeating that at 5 a.m. the following day to increase his chances. This kind of plea to me just really makes me feel like, he didn't give a direct answer, which I'm not okay with, but on some kind of strange level I can understand. But later in the same day, this is the same day, he then decided to basically post a comment saying that the 10,000th post, because it was coming up to 10,000 comments, many of which were as a complaint, he would give the winning 10,000 post a limited edition Trust in the Process t-shirt. And I show this not to batter the guy, not to try and say he is anything in particular. I just want to show that this is the way the backers are being dealt with in comments, despite removing the fact that we've actually been. He also loves his cut and paste comments of myself and Ash and everybody else, where he will just say the same thing over and over and over again. And yes, as Ron Bailey says, only backers that he hasn't blocked can comment on the campaign page, which is also very true. So that's a very, very brief review of some of the highlights, which will hopefully become more obvious why I've brought those up in a moment. Next, I'm going to bring up the Extreme Toys statement. So Extreme Fliers issued the following statement to Geeksvana on May the 21st, 2020. That's this morning. Now, I would like to add to this that we contacted him several times, offered him to come on, told him he's welcome in the chat. He's very welcome to come on live as well. I've always dealt with him, I like to think, professionally and fairly. All of those particular interactions ended, unfortunately, in argument. And this morning I again gave one final attempt to ask him for some kind of input, and this is it. So the Extreme Fliers statement issued to Geeksvana has say May 21st, 2020. While COVID-19 has presented unprecedented challenges and impacted us, we are totally focused on delivering a successful project and are working hard to achieve that. We have a major update announcement on Monday with our plan to resume production. Now, I'm not sure if he's saying there is a major announcement or if that is it. Our priority is to deliver on our commitments. If any questions come up in the interim, please feel free to reach out to us at support@extremeflyers.co.uk. Now, this update was sent via email from Vernon's email address in reply to my further request this morning. It wasn't signed, so I can't say that this is a signed one from them as such. It just stated, "Here is my statement," from his email address, so at least I know it's true from that point of view. Now, there is, I know a lot of backers have put a lot of hard work into researching other campaigns, researching where and how they can look to bring Indiegogo into this, and this is probably one of my next stages of recommendation. But I want to talk to you very, very quickly, first of all, about another campaign that the Indiegogo company actually stopped, and I think this is relevant to where we sit right now. I'm just waiting for that page to open for myself on screen. Sorry about that. So on the 1st of June 2018, the BBC released an article which was for the ZX Vega Plus, and this goes back to an old console which was very, very popular, the Sinclair ZX, and somebody wanted to basically bring out a handheld version of it. They brought themselves or raised around £500,000 on Indiegogo, and went into attempting to bring it through. There were lots of infighting, directors changing, that type of thing. Now, Indiegogo actually stepped forward and decided to actually place some stipulations on them. The conditions that they had to meet were they needed to provide physical evidence of the readiness to deliver a final unit to Indiegogo by the 5th of June. This is interesting because this is Indiegogo. This next part is Indiegogo insisting on something after production, because they're saying that these units were almost ready for delivery. Give an immediate refund to any backer who has requested one and no longer wishes to receive the console. Now, this is something which has been requested many, many times, and this is an article from just 2018, which is Indiegogo putting a stipulation that despite it being past production, that they must do that. And also there were some legal implications because a British TV company actually owns some of that. Now, I have made some. Here we go. This is a link which I'm dropping into the chat now, which is to the now closed Indiegogo page. I'll see that pops up, and this is the two articles that you can see here are now coming up as well. So there was then a follow-up article on the 6th of June, which of course is a day after it, and it basically confirms that crowdfunding site Indiegogo has called time on a high-profile British project to create a retro handheld console. Now, RCL, which is the shortened for the company that were running it, they did state that although Indiegogo had basically insisted on being able to see a finished article, they stated that they'd actually made it available in the UK to be demonstrated, not handed over, demonstrated. But this was a situation where they did actually step in. Going on to my next page here. Now, interestingly enough, on this, one thing I would point people towards as well is that there is actually a website which was set up by the backers. I'm not suggesting this by any means. This was a particular passion project for someone behind it, but it did bring about an awful lot more media exposure, which did help, and also the Slopes Game Room, Daniel Ibbotson. I'm going to pop a link to his channel in the chat. Here we go. Because I would recommend you go across and have a look at his channel. He has a regular show which he calls Kick Scammers, and he actually has a very special 1 hour 20-minute almost documentary on this particular one, where he explains some of the stages that happened, and also what they tried to do to move on from that. That one didn't work. Sorry, here we go. Try that again. Excellent. Now, the next part of this stage moves us back to Indiegogo. So we know for a fact now that Indiegogo have acted to stop a crowdfunding project on their site based in the UK, and one in the UK which claims to be past the production stage. This is one of my issues with the Vernon Kerswell story, as it were, and the Microdrone 4.0 crowdfunder. At the front page, we have it set on production, and he comes back to this time and time again, that the product is in production, and it basically we're past the prototype, we're past the refund process. Now, interestingly, I've put just one of the comments here on the page where he says that we do have fully working models. This is only 10 days ago. This was taken today. Are they perfect yet? No. Are we working on to make them perfect? Yes. Are we confident we'll get there soon? Yes. Please allow us the space to focus on making the best possible product to deliver. My issue there is that it doesn't sound like they're actually at the production stage. Indiegogo do have set parameters for guidelines for their campaign owners to tell them when they're allowed to call things certain things, basically when they're allowed to say, you know, this is at prototype and this is at production. Production is highlighted as you have begun the process of turning the prototype into a mass-produced product in order to be approved for production. You need to provide clear evidence that your product is being manufactured. Now, from some of what Vernon has said before, I can see that perhaps he feels it might have gone to there and then it's had to be retooled. But what I would like to see is something of a dialing back here from production back to prototype, which of course would remove his issue with being able to provide anybody with refunds, of course. Now, the next stage of this goes along again to something which again is a little bit more historic. 2017 blog post from the Indiegogo blog writers, which basically talks about how they feel they can have the backers' backs and how they can basically look to I'm just going to put a link to that in the chat as well, and how they are moving things from guidance to actual enforcing things to back up the backers. Sorry, back up the backers. That was poorly worded. So yes, so we have actual guidance as well on this. Let me bring that across to here, which is the campaign updates guidance, and this basically talks about how you should be. Let me just find that page myself. Actually, we'll move on to the next one first and come back to that. And basically, this talks about how to post updates, and they have a very clear set of rules as well about what you're not allowed to do when posting updates. So this is again on the Indiegogo guidelines, which go out to all of their campaign owners. It says, finally, here are a couple of things not to do. Not is emboldened when posting updates. Do not make vague statements that could mislead your backers. If you know you won't be able to start shipping for a year, don't tell them you expect to get tracking information to them soon. Do not use your update to promote other campaigns your backers hear about, etc. So clearly they're telling us that they need to ensure that the campaign owner isn't being vague. They also request, as you can see from the link that I posted there for this one, which I would just pop in there. Going to chats, excuse me, sorry, so there's a lot to run this evening. There you go, the Indiegogo 2 pages there, which will now appear in the chat. This clearly shows that you're supposed to be held to some kind of guidance, and we have. I don't feel like we've heard enough from Indiegogo on this, and this really does form where I think we should probably go next, but in a slightly different way to how we've tried previously. So the campaign. Now I've got that one up myself. I'm just going to put it back to the campaign updates and best practices. So yes, so how often should I update my campaign? The Indiegogo campaign owners are expected to post updates on their campaign at least once a month, both while your campaign is live and after it ends until all perks are completely fulfilled. Maintaining regular communications is, of course, an important part of everything. What should the updates include? All of your updates should be substantive, meaning honest and transparent. Backers won't be interested in non-campaign related content. Make sure to include details about your progress, like production, updates, new features, images, and videos. Now, to me, the updates that have been coming out, especially this last one, is not substantive. It's simple as that. And again, I'm aware, I'm going to completely take your name apart again. Johans has said he's written 5 times with the trust and safety team from Indiegogo. It's like they're totally uninterested in this scam, yet putting backers first. Ha ha ha! I completely agree with you on that, and this is why my concept to move forward from this is hopefully going to be something that we're going to be able to force IGG to really have a look at it. I've been in contact with the press office myself. I have had some answers back from them, some of them quite interesting, nothing that is substantive enough to share with anybody, but they are, as all the backers find, extremely unresponsive. Now, where does this leave us as far as how we can move forward? So we've got a situation here where we have got on their own website a litany of issues, complaints, and we can certainly prove that there is a substantive amount of people that want to gain a refund or certainly gain more information. There's still some people that certainly want to be able to gain the product, even though it's completely different from the one that they originally backed. But everybody would agree that they want to see some more substantive progress and get the truth of what's going on. So my concept is twofold, really. Firstly, there is a update which is promised to be put out. Sorry, just one moment. There, Mike Drennan, thank you very much for becoming one of the first members of the Drone Club. Geeksvana does now have memberships open, the monthly sort of Patreon style memberships open, and I'm so thankful for you to becoming the first one. I really appreciate it. We're very nervous launching that. And Philip Kashat, hello sir. I don't have the sound effect for Ken. I know Elsmeg had put the link for his show later. Everybody should go across to Ken Heron's show and watch TNL at 1 a.m. UK time. It's well worth staying up for. Great information, Sean. Thank you, Philip. I really appreciate it. And there is Mike Drennan using one of our new bespoke emojis in the chat. Although they are going to be improving tomorrow, Mike. Sorry, there's white background on that one in particular. So yes, so my concept is twofold. Obviously, people will have been reading this whilst I was checking in with the chat there. The promised update to be put out by Monday the 25th, Extreme Fliers, should contain the following, and I have sent this via email to Vernon. Project status should be moved back to prototype. Refunds therefore opened again. Confirmation of a new target shipping date. Soon or vague is not acceptable, even under the IGG's own terms. List of final specification of the new drone, and this is a new drone, and a full video showing the drone flying with the controller in a number of scenarios, including outdoors, tripod mode style flight and footage, and a test of the battery life in full. That to me would be a meaningful update. I don't think that's going to happen personally, but I want to put the pressure back on Vernon that merely saying we're in production from next weekend or something is going to keep everybody happy. I want him to know before that update comes out that he needs to do that correctly. Now, the other side of things that I would like to do is I would like to form a letter with my own legal representatives, which would be essentially putting everything together that I've spoken to you about tonight. So the update of the situation, the times that they have legally acted in the past to take the Vega Plus side of things down, campaign down, and other campaigns they've taken down as well. And I would like to put that letter in a way that what we would then do is we would take emails as signatures. So basically you would just need to, as backers, email Geeksvana your name, your backer number, and we will add that to the letter, and we will campaign this very heavily to try and get as many of the unhappy backers to join that signed letter as possible. So the joint letter will be signed by unhappy backers, sent to the press office, sent to the legal representatives of IGG, who we do have their details, their head office address, and of course out to all the Twitter accounts of all the Indiegogo senior management. This would be an actual campaign. I have run this type of campaign for completely different reasons before, and we would ensure that we get this in front of people who know what's coming. The letter will confirm the issues, identify the action taken, as I say, over Vega Plus, and demand action under their own previously public statements and policy advice. The letter would also be sent to all tech and news media. So we would look to basically get this story out to a wider audience. So one letter, which again I would be more than happy to have approved by as many people in the group as they would like, but it was essentially set out exactly what's happening here. You would be able to sign that letter by sending an email with your backer name and your backer number. I don't need any more information than that. Those details, which of course could be cross-correlated independently by IGG themselves, will go onto the letter back, all digitally of course, and then that would be sent out en masse to all of the media that are willing to listen. Now we do have some outlets who have already expressed an interest in such a letter being sent out and have said that they would press the button to give some kind of coverage. So that really would be what I would look to happen. So whilst we're having a think about that, we can begin to move on to the question and answer stage. If anybody does have any questions for me regarding my own investigation, the way that I've looked into things, any information that you wonder if I know, then I would be delighted to answer any of those questions. Please, if you can at Geeksvana in the chat, so that I am and the mods can pick those up. Jason Burton, a super sticker with the little dude saying thank you. I really appreciate it, Jason. And it's fantastic to see a lot of the names that I see on the comments pages, on the Facebook groups, the people that email me. I really appreciate you coming along here and supporting. I know that this isn't an easy process and something which you all particularly wanted to be involved in, but I really appreciate you taking the time to engage with us again tonight. So okay, so whilst we're building some questions, if anybody does have any, I'm going to play out just one more of the voices, which is actually someone that we'll all know from the comments pages, Evan Rankin, who has just a very short message here himself.
Hey everybody, my name is Everett Rankin, contribution number 14849. So at the end of June 2019, there was a lot of confusion on the comments page about whether or not the drone would be delivered by the end of June 2019 as guaranteed in the advertisement. So I actually sent a personal email to Vernon telling him, you know, all this confusion, have no idea. If I order a drone today, when can I expect to get it? So that was the first personal lie that I was told for this campaign. The second one was, we were told if we gave $20 USA that it would be shipped to us anywhere in the world. And then a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, there was a little bit of rumblings about it's coming from China, not the UK like they said, so we're going to have to pay the VAT, the customs, the duties and all that. Again, lots of confusion, so I sent an email to them that they did not respond to, but then on the comments page, someone actually responded to me. My question being, I gave you guys $20, you promised to ship it to me anywhere in the world, is that all I have to pay for shipping, or will there be more? The response was, that's it. You won't be charged anything else. But then there was more rumblings and more someone saying that's not true, this is the... So we got into another conversation. When you make a comment on the comments page, you make the comment. Then you can make a reply and a reply and a reply and a reply. So this was a 14-stage conversation where I explained it to him as if I was explaining it to a child. Do I have to pay any more to have this thing shipped to me? Where they told me out and out, no, you paid your 20 bucks, that's it, you're getting it. And of course, as we found out, this is not true either. That was the second personal lie that was told to me. That's not counting any of the group lies that were told and all the group promises that were broken. So that's my complaint about this campaign. Above and beyond everybody else's group things, 2 personal lies to me. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, again, thank you so much, Evan, and before that, Joe, for your thoughts. I really do appreciate it. This is a subject which isn't going to go away. We are going to continue. We have one other voice to bring, which I will just after we've answered some of the questions that I've seen popping up. Mr. MPW Matt, good to see you here, sir. Thank you for asking everyone to hit the like button. I really appreciate that. TTV Calvin Elliott, hi, another name I know well. I'm glad you're doing this, Geeksvana. Why does Vernon say you and Ash have something against him? This is an interesting subject, actually. I've no idea why he has anything against Ash, because Ash's video was to the point and accurate. The only reason I can imagine is because he just doesn't like what he had to say. That's the only thing I can imagine. And perhaps he doesn't like it because it's the truth. With myself, I can understand it's a little bit more. When during my time dealing with Ash, I have nurtured that relationship to ensure that I was able to get the full story from him. I think perhaps he thought on some level we were getting a little bit friendly, but again, I did remind him time and time again that he needs to get legal advice. I'm not his friend. This is a interview type situation, and press versus interviewee, and I think that he seems to take a lot of what's going on very, very personally, and I think that is because he is so intrinsically linked into the microdrone projects. Honestly, because I think he's doing an awful lot of the work by himself, and I think the rest of it is outsourced to companies, hopefully in China, that are actually producing something, and other outside media sources. We all remember the second interview where Vernon was quizzed on the names on the bottom of the updates that he puts out, and he unfortunately wasn't able to tell us a lot about those people or name others that should be replacing them, including, which I know is one of my go-to lines, but it's of an intern that left a year ago, which really isn't someone there. So I hope that answers the question slightly. Ron Bailey at Geeksvana, what's the timetable for collecting signatures? Well, I thought we would try and get some signatures together within a week. I'm more than happy to put the hours in. I know that there are some great people in the Facebook groups who have access to the comments, who are more than happy to point people towards it. I'm going to set it up as something neutral so that the people won't have to go into a Geeksvana page or anything else like that. We will have a neutral email address so that it doesn't feel like a branding thing. And at that point, we'll then send out the first batches of letters, but we will keep publicising it. We will keep that pressure on for more people to sign should they wish to, from the point of view that we're then able to update it as we go on with more and more signatures, which will help from the point of view of generating that media bounce. We've got 100 signatures, now we've got 150 signatures, now we've got 200 signatures. I hope that answers your question. Don, €10 super sticker. I haven't seen that one before yet. It's a little dude falling off his chair. Well, I'm not the smallest chap, as you can see, and I have actually had a chair do that to me. It wasn't quite as comical, and I screamed like a little girl, but I really appreciate the €10 super sticker wrecked. And yes, it does seem to be going that way. Joe, Retrospect VR, who I think is actually Joe Edwards. If the legal action goes well, do you have an idea for the outcomes of the backers or Vernon himself? What I'm trying to do, my thoughts. So thank you for that question, Joe, because it has moved me on to one of my thought processes here of why I think this has to happen now. It's actually from the point of view that I feel quite strongly that we need to get in there before we know the money's gone. I don't want to wait until there is a point where we are in complete shambles and there is some kind of issue, basically, where there is nothing. People within the group declare themselves bankrupt and disappear. So what I would like to see is a situation where the Indiegogo, like they did with Vega Plus, lay down some rules and lay down some deadlines for Vernon to follow, for Extreme Fliers to follow. That I think would be quite healthy for them to come back to us and say publicly, and indeed more public to a more major news outlet than even Geeksvana with our ever-growing base. Thank you for that, everybody. Really look to the point where we can find out what's happening and if it's too late, and get something back from Indiegogo. And I really feel that with the right kind of pressure, the right kind of media campaign, just a few of those names that we can get access to, that can help. Now, I am a registered member of the press, so I do have some more access to different media outlets and different names that kind of recognition can help. It doesn't take much to become registered, but it can help. The outcomes of backers or Vernon themselves will depend on what that situation turns out to be and whether or not they actually decide to basically shut him down straight away or offer deadlines. I would hope that my wildest perfect dreams is that he's very, very close to doing that, but there is obviously this $80,000 which Indiegogo hold back, which they could then refund the backers, that mass of buyers, backers that want their refunds, and everybody else can take the drone as they wish. I think that would be good. Again, Indiegogo did force open the refunds on the Vega Plus one, all the way to the point where Vega was saying they had the finished product in their hands, allegedly. Now, Wiseow, again, I apologise if I've done terrible things to your name there. I do apologise. There was already a refund list with the names and contribution numbers. Will that be used, or should we send our details to you again? I would only say send the details again from the point of view that obviously people put their details on there knowing they were being used for that. I would probably want to get another confirmation that they're happy for that information to be passed on, which I realise is a bit more work, and I apologise about that. But hopefully that way it can't be shot down. I don't want it to be shot down from the point of view of someone's coming back from Extreme Fliers and saying we've already seen this list. This list was for this reason. So. So yeah, I mean, I'll discuss this with Ash as well. One thing I would like to point out is the background help that Ash from Droning On and Droning On Live has given to this has been immense, and we often have little mini strategy meetings about how to support the backers, and I will do that again because he is actually suggesting that the same list could be used. So we will check that legally, certainly, because it's good that there's already a base of people there. Funky Ant 13, fantastic name. Thanks for all the work you've done so far. Just wondering, with regards to the Vega, did all the backers get refunds? Did any receive a product? no, basically. What actually happened in that situation was the original directors were two of them were forced out, and it appeared that those two were people that actually wanted the product to happen. Other people came into the company and basically emptied the alleged actions were to empty the bank account and live off the earnings. Some of that has been proved, some of it hasn't. As I put in the chat, there is a I'm just going to put his channel link in again on Daniel Ibbetson's channel. There's a very good mini documentary, just over an hour and 20 I think, which explains exactly what happened with that campaign. It is a fascinating watch, and why I think IGG need to act now so that the backers can see exactly what's happening, because that's a project with 500,000 raised, and I know it's still only 2018 they took that action. We're talking about a campaign here which is involving an awful lot more money, and I really want to see something happen there. And thanks for your kind words, Funky Yank 13. I really appreciate it. Okay, and that's the questions so far in the chat. Just in case anybody has any more questions before we head off, and I give my final thoughts. I'm just going to play one more backer's voice, which is from good old Pavel Kratky. I hope I haven't got your surname too wrong there, but again, this is a different voice. This is actually from somebody who was going to be the beneficiary of the product purchased for his birthday by somebody else very kind. But I'll let him tell you in his own words. We won't be playing the full one out here, but we'll just play a couple of minutes.
Okay, so long story short, I was supposed to receive this drone as a present for my wife. She didn't know anything about Indiegogo, about crowdfunding. She just heard me talking about this drone. She went there, she seen guaranteed June delivery. She bought it, and she wasn't happy because on my birthday it didn't arrive. My birthday was in July. She bought it in, I think, at the end of the May, but it didn't arrive. And still, after a year, it didn't arrive. She was an experienced, let's say, user of crowdfunding. She saw guaranteed delivery, production ready. She didn't even think about that this could be there could be some issue. So very frustrating for her, because for us it's not a small amount of money here in Czech Republic. So it's very unfortunate. Now, over the several months, what happened that we also find out that maybe it will ship from China, so another about $40 here in Czech Republic to the package. That means that when it comes, the price of it will be the same in total for me to buy a DJI Mavic Mini, new here from the store tomorrow. So it's very frustrating. The main benefit, the main excitement about the Microdrone 4.0 was the price. This was basically it. Cheap drone with full HD quality video, with gimbal, with stabilization, with I mean everything that you wanted for your first drone. So completely gone. Lower quality video sensor, gimbal not working as it was supposed to, flight time reduced, long range control not so long range, battery time reduced, size of the drone increased. It's completely something else. It's completely somewhere else from the original idea, and it's very misleading, and I feel cheated. I feel scammed. Even if Mr. Kerswell says no, I understand that, because it's basically all of it is because of his inability to deliver, his unprofessionality, his maybe even some manipulation lies from the beginning. He just, I think he believed he can do that, but he didn't. He completely failed in that. Maybe he could do it with another several months, maybe with another year. He could do it, but it wouldn't be. It wouldn't have all the benefits for which we sent him the money. So that's.
Okay, thank you so much, Pavel, and to the other backers. Others have sent videos. These are the ones which we included. I am actually going to be making a compilation video, but some will also get included in that. But thank you to Joe Edwards, thank you to Pavel Kratky and Evan Ranking for that. Binky Smith in the chat. Hello, great to see you. One of the very vocal voices that is always there to assist us should we need it. 3 UK-based backers have sent Extreme Fliers a small claims court summons to account for his actions. Vernon has to respond to by the 1st of June 2020 with his official account. I do think that it's going to be very interesting to see how that works and how that pans out. I know that that Vernon takes great solace in the fact that other crowdfunding campaigns have either offered no contest to it, so that no one technically won, and just had the debt hanging there, or that they've gone to mediation and only ended up paying out 50%, etc. He seems to almost relish that side of things. So I'll be very interested, because of course it is a legal system with set deadlines that he cannot avoid, which is very interesting. But thank you for that, and I know you'll keep us updated on that. As far as the letter and signatures are concerned, we've already started having emails coming in, which is of course from the wonderful backers who are in the chat. So I really appreciate that. If you could please keep those coming, I really appreciate it. We will have the letter drafted within the next 5 days. And I will get that published everywhere, because of course we don't mind who sees it, and then we'll give it a few days for anybody to come back to us. I'll ensure a link goes up on the comment section as well. So I just want to run through the chat and thank people for coming in. I am going to go back, because I was so engrossed in what I was doing here. I am going to go back through it and actually have a look. Robert Sampson, yes, the time zone math always gets me as well. We've been going for just about an hour. You can watch it in full after it's over. I always make my streams available immediately without editing, and the live chat will be available very shortly afterwards as well, which is no problem. So yes, so excellent. So I am honestly disappointed not to see Vernon at least come into the chat. I understand his reasons not for coming on live, offering a pre-recorded video, but I would have liked to have seen him stand up to things in the chat, which would have been fantastic. Yes, that would help, wouldn't it? Sorry, Ron. The email address to send those to is that one, Sean@geeksvana.com. Really appreciate that. Literally all I need is your name and backer number. I don't need any other personal data whatsoever, because as I say, IGG will be able to cross-reference that. No problem, Ron. Thank you for mentioning it. I actually put it in the chat. Yeah, all the links and things I've been bombarding everyone with tonight. So I am disappointed that he isn't here, but that is the way that it's turned out. We have still hopefully brought the focus back to the backers, back to the focus on the campaign and what it has and hasn't delivered, and hopefully finding a way here that we can at least bring some more publicity to it. If nothing else, I would like to be sitting here in a month's time, either with that little drone in production, or a lot further ahead with knowing what's actually happening behind the scenes, with perhaps a deadline from IGG, something like that. I'd like to see something happen, and we will be working extremely hard to do everything we possibly can to make that happen. One thing I'd like to add is Ash there from Droning on Live. He's actually giving away 2 free drones. Which, as I say, I've given him permission to share the link. There is a link there to basically find out how you can go and win a couple of free drones. It's actually very simple. As you know, Ash is always extremely upfront with these type of things. You've only got to subscribe and leave a comment, and then you'll be entered into the hat. So, Jay Santiago, thank you so much for joining our memberships on the geek level. Crikey. That's extremely generous of you, sir, and I really look forward to our first video chats. The memberships basically work a little bit like Patreon, that we get different things at different levels. And the geek level, we're going to have regular video meetups with myself, Lib, the other presenter, and other characters from around the channel, some of whom no one's actually met yet, so it's going to be interesting. And also moderators, and of course lots of you as well. So that's going to be really good fun to have a chat about what's going on in the drone world, different subject matters like this, and so many other things. But I really appreciate that. Will Kirkham's asking for the email address again. I'll just pop that in there now. It's Sean@geeksvana.com. I'm hoping it's coming through on the chat okay, because it keeps wanting to highlight. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, it keeps wanting to highlight my Geeksvana part. So yeah, Sean@geeksvana.com. Droning on live video drone dating. Well, you know, Jay Santiago, I have seen him. He is a good looking man. So, you know, he has a Mrs. Santiago, of course, but you know, there we go. Dipesh Patel, email sent. Thank you very much. So let's get this message out there. Let's get that email address across to as many people as you possibly can, wherever you know that these poor backers are, and we will get this list together. As I say, I'll get the letter together within the next 5 days. Get that out there as well, and we'll go from there and see where we can take this. Javi Diaz, thank you so much for the £5 super sticker. I really appreciate that. And thank you again, everybody, for making this an incredibly worthwhile show. The hard work is all worthwhile from the point of view that the feedback we get that we're doing something correct, and that we're doing something on behalf of our viewers and in this situation the backers, really does make all of this worthwhile. I'm still a recently registered journalist myself, and this is all something which is building my own experience and character as a journalist as well. So I really do appreciate it. So I really want to say to everybody to look after each other, stay safe, and join us next time on Geeksvana Live. I will, of course, keep everybody fully updated on this particular issue. Once the letter's ready, I will release a specific video, so do hit the subscribe button, the notification button to find out more about the letter as it progresses. But I'll see you next time on Geeksvana Live. Thank you again for joining us.
All you want is my hunger. All you need is my pain. Nothing in between ever met you lost. When you were born there was thunder, fire lit in the sky as to lead astray. Now heavy rain pours out of you and me. Come back, rain. Come and ease this obsession. Full force dispossess. Come and quiet this aggression. If we met in a year or two, would you set your eyes on me?